Welcome to the Kingdom of Nerds, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gamertag Tony, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list. As you guys probably know, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is one of my favorite video games of all time. I absolutely adore this video game, and some of my favorite characters from it are the Daedric princes. I think they're interesting characters. The artifacts you get from them are amazing, and the quests, most of them are pretty fun. So today I thought I would do something a little different from what I usually do, and do a tier list based on the available Daedric artifacts from Skyrim. Now I'm going to be including the ones available from the Creation Club as well. But I'm only doing ones that you can actually use. So the Spear of Bitter Mercy, which a Creation Club follower uses, I will not be including. Without further ado, let's get into this, and we're going to start with one of the earliest to get in the game, the Wabbajack. This one is probably my favorite. Due to its random nature, it can instantly kill an enemy, it can set them on fire, electrocute them, freeze them, turn them into a chicken. I've seen them turn into a goat, a wheel of cheese. I have seen it turn them into a Dremora. But honestly, I think the only downside of this thing is that it could actually heal the enemy as well. I think that's the only downside to the Wabbajack, and the quest to get it was pretty fun as well. Going inside the mind of Pelagius, meeting Old Man Sheo himself. This one, I'm going to have to put in A tier only because of its two drawbacks. Next up comes from my least favorite Daedric prince, the Mace of Molag Bal. If you've played any of the Elder Scrolls games, you'll understand why this prince is my least favorite. But I gotta throw him a bone. The Mace of Molag Bal is incredibly useful. Drains magicka and stamina, and it does Soul Trap. Now, if you don't have Soul Trap early on, it can be hard to upgrade your enchanting stat. Sorry it took me so long to say that. But yeah, having Soul Trap with this weapon is incredibly useful, and it does very good damage. I often try to get this one as early as possible specifically for that. So while I don't like the prince himself, I'd have to put this one in S tier. Next up is probably another S tier worthy artifact, the Mask of Clavicus Vile. Early game, it's hard enough to get gold, and with your limited carry weight, it can be hard to get the stuff to sell to the shopkeepers to get gold. The prices they'll give you aren't that good anyways. So having the price increase of this artifact is just amazing. Plus, it increases your speech ability, which can be great in convincing people or threatening them. And apparently it also increases your magicka regeneration a tiny bit. I didn't know that until today. Plus, its heavy armor rating is pretty good as well. So yeah, I think I'm going to slap this one in S tier. Next up, Sanguine Rose. This one's really nice. Lets you summon a Dremora for 60 seconds, which, especially earlier on, can be very useful because the Dremora are incredibly powerful monsters in the game. Having one of those as an ally, even for only a minute, can be great. The only downside to it I see is, just like having any other follower, they could get in the way and you could hurt them or kill them, which, let's face it, that's just so annoying. Because of that, I would have to put it in A tier, but I really like this one. Plus, I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. Alright, next up is the Ring of Hircine. I don't really usually go the werewolf route. I usually only become a werewolf during the companion quest when I play. But I can definitely see the use in this, giving you unlimited daily werewolf transformations. Plus, the quest to get it is pretty fun. Basically, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I'm pretty sure anyone watching this has played the Elder Scrolls. Skyrim. Basically turning the hunt inside out and killing all the hunters yourself. Showing that I'm better than you. Not me being better than you guys, but you know what I mean. I like it. Like I said, I don't really go the werewolf route that much, but I can definitely see the use behind this one. I'd put it in B tier, personally. Then we go to the not as useful Savior's Hide. Increases magic a bit and increases your resistance to poison. Oh, my bad. Increases magic resistance and poison resistance. I personally don't really see the use of using this one, if I'm 100% honest. It's pretty to look at. I think it's a really cool looking piece of light armor. Which, if you're going light armor over heavy armor, I can see why you'd get this one. But personally, I never use it. It'd definitely be a good reach outfit kind of thing if you're playing as a reachman. But I put this one in C tier. Then we go to the Rueful Axe, right away F tier. This is the worst Daedric artifact in the game. All it does is fuck, come on. Sorry, my brain's not working today. It does stamina damage. Stamina damage, that's really all it does. And according to a certain video I've seen, I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description, because I think you guys would like to watch it. All it does, well, it's the most useless, it's more of a unique weapon than a Daedric artifact, and it actually swings slower than a Warhammer, which is the slowest weapon in the game. Why you would choose the Rueful Axe over the Massive Clavicus Vial, other than the Oblivion Walker achievement, I do not understand. So yeah, F tier, right off the bat. Then you've got Dawnbreaker. I'm personally not too fond of this one. It does fire damage and Bane of the Undead, which, after doing a little research, I found out is a pretty dang useful enchantment to have. But it only it's not really English, Tyler. Come on. Sorry. I don't really like it that much. I mean, it's pretty. It's a pretty weapon, but it's incredibly weak. The only Daedric artifact I could find with a weaker stat is Mehrunes Razor, which we're getting into next. And it's literally only 1 point less than this sword. The quest to get it, I don't know why people hate this quest so much. I think it's cool. Going about if you go about it in the stealth archer fashion, I think it can be easily done. And with all the gold you can get off the corpses for this quest, especially early game, you could easily walk out of that cave with 3k. I'm just saying. But the weapon itself, I don't see the point in using it. I'd put it in D tier. Now you've got what is potentially one of the most useful Daedric artifacts, Mehrunes Razor, having a small chance to insta-kill an enemy. Small chance, yes, but it could still one-shot an enemy, with the exception of Karstag and Mirak. I like it. I especially like the design. And having that chance to insta-kill an enemy, that could be unbelievably valuable. Plus the quest to get it, you walk out of that with at least 2.5 thousand gold. But quest aside, I think this one's very useful. I'm going to put it in B tier because of its low damage and the fact that it has only a small chance to kill enemies. But I definitely see its value. Then you've got the Ring of Namira. Increases your stamina, and feeding off corpses can increase your health by 50 and helps with health regeneration, but those two effects only last for 4 hours. I never go the cannibal route, I'll be 100% honest. I mean, if I'm playing as a werewolf, yeah, I'll feast off the corpses, if only to increase the duration of the werewolf transformation and being able to level it up. But aside from that, the only reason I ever get this one is to complete the quest and actually have the artifact. Plus, the effect's only lasting 4 hours. 4 hours in the game goes by relatively quickly. I don't really see the point in this one. I'm going to put it in D tier. Only reason I'm not putting it in F tier is, come on, that's 50. That's plus 50 stamina. That's useful. Now you've got what's possibly one of the most broken artifacts in the game, the Bow of Shadows. This is one of my personal favorites because you're able to draw it much quicker than you usually would a bow, and it gives you invisibility. Let's face it, anyone who plays this game has been a stealth archer at least once, and this is the epitome of stealth arching, this weapon right here. Plus, its damage output is relatively good, and after you complete the quest to get it, you can loot the body of the guy who had it, and you got, I believe when I played, I ended up with like 40 ebony arrows, which are pretty strong. This one, I'd have to put in S tier. You can get it relatively early, and it's just a great weapon. Speaking of ebony, next up is the Ebony Mail. And muffles you while you're sneaking and does like a poisonous damage area on enemies, and it emits a black shroud when you're sneaking, giving you a very cool visual. And it, like I said, it does continuous damage to enemies. So if your sneak is good enough and you wear this, you could kill an enemy just by standing near them. And the fact that it muffles your movements, you don't have to use the muffle spell, which I think it saves on Magicka. Though if your whole purpose is trying to level up your illusion stat, I see why you wouldn't want to use this. But its heavy armor rating is really good as well. I'd have to put this one in S tier. Not the best armor, but I can definitely see its uses. Now here comes another S tier one right off the bat. The Azura Star or the Black Star. Depending on which route you go, you can either have it where this thing... first off, it acts as a reusable soul gem. But depending on which route you go, you can either have it hold white souls or black souls. Don't know why I won't let you hold dark souls. That was a terrible joke, I'm sorry. But having a reusable soul gem that you can use over and over and over, that's just unbelievably valuable. It's going in S tier. Next up, another weapon I personally don't use, specifically because of my morals. You've got the Ebony Blade. It absorbs health from enemies, and the damage increases by 2 for every 2 friends that you kill. The fact that it has unlimited charges really helps. And absorbing health, I mean, that is useful, but having to kill your friends to power this thing up, I just don't do it. Now, I know what you're going to say, but you have to kill an enemy to get the Ebony Mail. You're right, but that's why I just hire a guy from Markarth to come with me and make him do the thing that summons Boethia. Again, you could probably just do that with this blade. I don't like it. Plus, whenever I try to put it in its designated weapon rack in Hendrheim, it keeps falling off whenever I come back to my house. It's never on its rack like it should be, and that's just plain annoying. Putting my personal feeling aside, I can see the value of using it. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Next up, we got Spellbreaker. This one's pretty dang good. Not only is it a shield, so it's awesome, but this thing creates a ward that protects you from spells up to 50 points. It can also protect you from shouts. even from dragons. Yeah, it can protect you from shouts from dragons. So you could use this to protect you a bit from the fire breath they shoot at you, the ice breath. I want to test to see if this thing could work against the drain vitality shout that the legendary and revered dragons use against you later game. But yeah, this one's just great. The quest to get it is very hard to get the Periite Shrine, and you have to go through a Dwemer ruin to destroy the to kill the guys that Periite wants you to kill. But I can definitely see why people would use this. I'm gonna put it in A tier because my usual setup is in my right hand I have my weapon, in my left I have a spell, unless I'm using a two-handed weapon. I don't really use a shield that often, but I can see why people would. Augma Infinium, immediate S tier. I don't really think we have to discuss this one, but I'm going to anyway. It's basically leveling up twice. By the time you're actually able to use it. Increases... I thought it increased skill levels by 10 each. Apparently I'm wrong about that. Apparently it only increases each skill by 5, but it lets you choose either your combative skills, your magic skills, or your stealth skills. And I'm not just talking about like one skill from each from those three categories. I'm talking if you use it for your magic skills, destruction, illusion, conjuration, restoration, every branch of magic is leveled up. I'm pretty sure even your enchanting is leveled up. The same for combative, your light armor, heavy armor, one-handed, two-handed. This thing is just incredible. Totally worth meeting Hermaeus Mora. Totally worth the quest. Next up, you got the Staff of Sheogorath. I really like this one personally. It basically does paralysis to enemies. The quest to get it's not that bad. Or when I did it, it really wasn't that bad. I think the only annoying part was using a weapon as useless as the Fork of Horripilation, which we'll get into later. But having the ability to just paralyze all enemies within a certain radius is valuable, especially if you're in an area where the enemies are way stronger than you. You basically paralyze them, get out of there, heal up, come back. This one's going in A tier, only because the use of the other ones is better. Now you've got one that you probably didn't even know was an artifact, Scourge. This mace is a artifact of Malakath, and is basically the best friend of the outcast. What it is this one will, if you hit a Dremora with it, banishes them back to Oblivion. So, I can see why you wouldn't want to use it, because, come on, Tyler, English. I'm sorry. Because if you're trying to get Daedra Hearts, you're going to want to kill them, not banish them. But, like, if you're in a random point in the game where Dremora just start running up to you, which I've had happen, you whip this bad boy out, you'd be like, I don't have time for this, just hit them, they're gone. Plus, his damage is pretty good, from what I've seen. I'd put this one in B tier, only because Daedra Hearts are incredibly valuable. Next up, you got Goldbrand. This is a artifact of Boethia, added in the Creation Club. This one basically does fire damage. Personally, I don't really see the use of it, but apparently people keep saying it's OP. I'm going to put it in C tier. I've never really given it a chance, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, but its only enchantment is fire damage. You could put that on literally any other weapon and make it better. Then you've got Hermaeus Mora's Black Books. I consider these his artifacts, specifically because they can only be found in Solstheim, and let's face it, the only Daedric prince you really trouble yourself with in Solstheim is Hermaeus Mora. Unless you're trying to get the Staff of Shadegor. Anyway, these things, the abilities they can give you once you go through their trial thing in Apocrypha, these things are useful. Especially the one, I don't remember which specific one it is, but getting the Black Market ability, which basically summons a Dremora shopkeeper that you can sell with. Easy way to get a little bit of gold and lighten your load from dungeon looting, I guess. But these things are awesome. The quests to get them are cool. I'm going to put them in S tier. I think it's only fitting. Next up is the Fork of Horripilation. Literally, all this thing, it doesn't even have an enchantment. It's a fork. It's a literal fork. And the only reason you would use it is to get the stuff, to get the Staff of Sheogorath, because you have to. I'm putting this in F tier. No need to talk any further. Next up, you've got Volendrung, the Hammer of Might, which is an artifact of Malakath. Absorbs 50 stamina from an enemy. That's a lot of stamina, especially if you're trying to do like power attacks. One power attack, you hit your enemy, and you immediately have your stamina back. That's valuable. Plus, it's a pretty powerful hammer on its own right. I feel like it should have more abilities, though, if I'm 100% honest. I'm going to put it in... Do I want to put it in B tier or A tier? I'd put it in B because it swings so slow. Next is the Helm of Orion Bearclaw. From a certain video I saw, I'll leave a link to that in the description. The Helm of Orion Bearclaw, the Helm of Orion Bearclaw, it increases stamina regeneration and increases your stamina by 70. I can see where this would be useful. From what I've heard in a video, apparently this orc named Orion Bearclaw took credit for another orc's heroism or something like that. And I think in either Morrowind or Oblivion, Malakath actually sends the protagonist to go and end Orion Bearclaw's bloodline. I believe the name of the orc who actually did all those heroic feats was Karag Roka. I believe that's what the video said it was. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description to the video I'm talking about, so you can hear it for yourself. Well, that's some pretty good. That's some pretty good stamina perks. Though, if you get up there in enchanting, you can make stuff that's better. But if you're not trying to enchant, if you're just trying to go like a warrior's route, I can definitely see its use. I'm going to put it in B tier. Next up is Umbra, and oh boy, the trouble this thing caused in Oblivion. But in Skyrim, where you can get this via Creation Club, along with the Helm of Orion Bearclaw, it absorbs health and stamina, and does Soul Trap. It's basically a two-handed version of the Mesa Molag, but it absorbs health and stamina instead of magicka and stamina. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in S tier because it's equal, if not better, to the Mace. Next we have the infamous Grey Cowl of Nocturnal, the story behind this hood. This artifact, a little bit of backstory I've heard. Basically, this was stolen from Nocturnal herself, and she ended up putting a curse on it, making it where anyone who wears it, their name and basically everything about them would be completely wiped from history. The curse was so powerful, they actually had to use an Elder Scroll to lift the curse. And the quest to getting it is pretty cool, if you ask me. Its abilities are pretty good. Sneaking is 25% better. You can see living creatures through walls, just not undead, machines, or Daedra. The only downside I see to this is that the guards turn hostile, so you better not wear this in town, which makes you wonder how the... Once you get it from the Gray Fox, I wonder why the guards weren't attacking him, because he's wearing it before he gives it to you. But I'm not going to ask too many questions. If you go in the stealth route, I can definitely see the use behind this one, so I'm going to put it in A tier. I don't think I've ever actually tried to use it. Next up, you got the Skeleton Key. I have mixed feelings about this one. It's basically an unlimited lockpick, which can be useful. But from what I've seen, one of the quickest ways to upgrade lockpicking is like actually having your lockpicks break. Like I've been working with picking locks, and whenever they break, whenever it resets, I see that your lockpicking stat's gone up a bit, which is actually really cool to think about it. Kind of like gives you a trial and error kind of feel. Practice makes perfect. Make a mistake, you learn. All that jazz. And English, Tyler, come on. I keep calling myself on my... I can see why this one would be useful. And according to Fudge Muppet, on their list of most powerful Daedric they're basically their discussion video on what's the most powerful Daedric artifact. It would be this one, because this one's basically the key to a Realm of Oblivion. I'll leave a link to that video as well in the description. But yeah, this is apparently one of the most powerful Daedric artifacts. I don't really use it, because at that point in the game, you've already got like at least 100 lockpicks. But I can definitely see why people would use it. I'll put it in A tier right beside the Great Cowl. Getting towards the end of the list. Next up is Bitter Cup. This one is also available through the DLC, through the Creation Club. I didn't even know this was an artifact until I watched that Clavicus Vial video I mentioned. I believe I mentioned it anyway. But this one, what it does is it increases one of your stats, either health, magicka, or stamina. Increases whatever's the greater one by 20. And lowers the worst by 20. So basically makes you better at what you're good at and worse at what you suck at. Kind of makes me wonder what would happen if like all your stats are equal. I'll have to look into that. I can see why this one would be useful, but at the same time, it feels like a double-edged sword. Like it lowers your worst one. If it's your worst one, you're going to want to try to make that better, you know? I'd put it in C tier for that logic. But I can see why people would want to use it. Next up, you've got the Sword of Jiggalag. Jiggalag being the only Daedric prince you don't actually hear... Yeah, the only prince you don't actually hear from in Skyrim. Then again, after the offense of Oblivion, the Shivering Isles... he's probably just enjoying his freedom. But the Sword of Jiggalag actually doesn't have any enchantments when you get it. It's just like it's just a sword. It's just a two-handed sword. Which honestly makes it worse than a lot of these artifacts. But at the same time makes it better because it gives you creative freedom on how you want to work with this thing, you know? For that, I'm willing to meet in the middle of this list at C tier. But I can definitely, if you would put it in B tier, I can see why. Next up, and last and not least, well, actually last and certainly least on this list, the Skull of Corruption. I mean, come on, who's going to try to do anything on a sleeping enemy? They're asleep. Just stealth kill them. Heck, Mehrunes Razor could probably kill a sleeping enemy. Does 20 damage... Apparently, it does, like, 20 damage to an enemy 50 if you drain dreams from someone while they're sleeping. I don't see the point. I really don't. Yeah, F tier. Now, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm actually going to give this its own tier. Oh, come on, it didn't. Fine. Sorry. Yeah, this is getting its own tier. It's just bad. It is just bad. But yeah, this is my tier list. This is my personal opinion on all the Daedric artifacts. Or at least the ones that are physically available in Skyrim. Let me know what you guys thought of this. I will leave a link to the videos I mentioned down in the description below. And if you have any argument either in support or against my placement of these artifacts, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more tier lists, feel free to let me know as well. If you like the video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you'll know when I make new videos, which I admit doesn't really happen very often. I am thinking about doing another Ocarina of Time randomizer series, one that will actually complete this time. If you want to see that, let me know as well. And until next time, this has been Gamertag Tony, ruler of the Kingdom of Nerds. Bye-bye.